This video and let's talk about it.
17th is, excuse me, what's happening to the white people? They have a black Miss America. They have a black college. They have a black month. What do we have? And now they have Juneteenth. Yes, I understand there was slavery, don't get me wrong. But there was also a Holocaust, and that was more recent than slavery. But you don't hear the Jews saying, gimme, 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 gimme. What's the point of Juneteenth? What is it? I don't know.
I'm Dr. Michael H. Ford, and let's talk about what you just saw. So this woman asked the question, what's happening to the white people? She then said they have a black Miss America, they have a black college, they have a black month, and now they have Juneteenth. And then poses the question, what do white people have? Saying that you don't hear the Jews saying, give me, give me, give me, give me. Okay, let's take this point by point. Point number one, remember, for decades, black women were excluded from the pageant entirely. Vanessa Williams became the first black Miss America in 1983, nearly 60 years after the competition began in 1921. Representation did not replace anyone, it corrected exclusion. Point number two, HBCUs were founded because black students were barred from white institutions. The Morrill Act of 1890 required segregated states to provide land-grant colleges for black students if they refused to integrate. Historically, black colleges and universities were not handouts. They were parallel systems built because access was denied. Point number three, Black History Month began as Negro Week in 1926, created by historian Carter G. Woodson to confront the systematic erasure of black contributions from textbooks and public memory. It expanded to a full month in 1976 during the nation's bicentennial. It exists because omission was policy. Point number four, Juneteenth marks June 19th, 1865, when enslaved people in Galveston, Texas were informed of their freedom. More than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, it became a federal holiday in 2021. Juneteenth commemorates delayed freedom and the unfinished work of equality. Point number five, the Holocaust comparison. Jewish communities absolutely sought justice. In 1952, West Germany signed the Luxembourg Agreement, committing billions in reparations to Holocaust survivors and to Israel. Compensation programs, restitution funds, and formal acknowledgement followed. Black Americans enslaved for nearly 250 years in the United States have never received federal reparations for slavery. The promise of land redistribution in 1865 was reversed. Instead came black codes, convict leasing, redlining, exclusion from GI Bill benefits, and a racial wealth gap that persists today. This is not give me, give me, give me. This is unaddressed harm. This is history without repair. Recognition is not lost. It is not lost to tell the full story. It is not lost to honor delayed freedom. It is not lost to repair documented harm. It is not lost to expand the table. It is not lost when justice reaches everyone. Commemoration is not competition. Justice is not a zero-sum game. Healing starts with knowing. Follow for more.
I simply love it when Black Americans are giving analysis. Point blank, period. See, these white folks are coming to that realization that a lot of things they were told were lie, that a lot of things they were conjured to swallow, a lot of things they reclassify for them to be up and for Black Americans to be down. They were all lies. So they are coming to that realization, and as at this point, they keep asking themselves question after question, why do we still have to keep doing this to Black American? Imagine another person saying white American is give me, give me, give me, give me, and you don't have the Jewish people saying give me, give me, give me, give me. Even if Black American at this point want to take the whole of America, that is absolutely their right. In fact, they have every single damn right to do that, but they will not do that because they know how to respect themselves. If there is anybody that should be complaining, is this supposed to be coming from a white person? But anyways, who am I? Maybe she know better, right? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. And credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. With that being said, let's roll out the other clips that I have for you guys, and I'll be back with commentaries. Let's go watch, guys.
I just want white people to have a place to live. Like, sure. There's no, the country's going to be minority white, and then a lot of people hate white people. Like, white people aren't like violent to that degree.
Yeah, I made my phone. Have you ever heard of postcard lynchings?
What?
Postcard lynchings.
No.
So all the way up into the 1960s, when black people got lynched, many people would take photos of those lynchings, and what they would do is they would put them on postcards and knickknacks, and people would spread them around. I won't show those on camera, but here's an example of what I'm talking about. This is called the dogwood tree.
Open the border right now.
These were knickknacks. So if you want to say white people weren't violent, can I read you the poem on the bottom of this postcard?
No, I know about slavery.
This isn't about, no. This isn't slavery. No, 1908. This is 1908.
They turned us into salts and lamps.
This is from 1908. This is long past slavery.
I know.
This is the only branch of a dogwood tree, the emblem of white supremacy, a lesson taught in the pioneer school, that this is the land of the white man's rule. The red man once in an early day was told by the whites to mend his way. That, I can't say the word, the N-word, now, by eternal grace, must learn to stay in the N-word's place. In the sunny south, the land of the free, let the white supreme forever be. Let this be a warning to all N-words be, or they'll suffer the fate of the dogwood tree. And in it there is 5 black men hung. This is from 1910, and this actually is one of the most common ones. It circulated until 1960 and was sold in the South. So, yes, white people are violent too.
Well, we certainly can.
I think black people are way more racist towards white people in this country than the other way around.
Now they are. Today, because when...
and America, by the way.
Oh, yes, I'm saying, because if you're talking about now, today, in terms of like what I've seen on the internet and what I've seen with these DEI roles in industries and businesses, all of a sudden, when white people are going, I can't apply for that job.
That's racist in itself,
but
the whole
DEI
DEI movement.
It is, but white people are going, I can't apply for that job, I can't do that, I'm not allowed to go and be an actor, and black people are all of a sudden going,
why are there so many Chinese food restaurants in black neighborhoods? It's due to a very special type of seasoning called
racism. It's what's for dinner.
Back in 1882, the U.S. passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, banning most Chinese immigrants from entering the country. But because the government loves money, it left a loophole. If you were a laborer, no entry. But if you owned a business, you could qualify as a merchant, which meant you could stay and you could bring your family over. Then in 1915, a court ruled that owning a restaurant counted as a business. And just like that, opening a Chinese restaurant became a one-way ticket into America. Then came a new problem in the 1960s. Basically, banks were racist as fudge. If Chinese folks wanted to open up restaurants in white neighborhoods, the answer was often...
So if the data says, and it does, that white folks on average have 15 times the net worth of black folks, 13 times the net worth of Latino folk, right? We just assume, well, we must have worked harder. Is that right? That's interesting, because actually the black folks and brown folks have done some of the hardest work in this country ever since the country was founded. Were it not for the labor of African descended peoples, there would be no country at all. In fact, it was my family, white slave owning family in the South, that got black folks to do all the hard work because we were lazy asses and didn't want to work at all. White folks in the South on the plantation used to want to sit on the porch and drink mint juleps and have carriage rides rather than work, while black folks did all the real labor. And yet we decided that black folks are lazy, which I find fascinating. Right? And then people write to me and say, well, these black people, they're just taking all the jobs. Okay, which is it, precious? Because it can't be both. People of color can't take all the jobs and be lazy. I don't ask much of racists because I expect very little, but you cannot be lazy and take all the jobs. Are we at least clear on that? Like, if you took all the jobs, you are like the opposite of lazy. If you are indeed lazy, you probably did not even take one job, let alone all of them. So I just need racists to get their damn story straight. That's all I ask. I just don't like moving targets. That's all, right? But if I don't tell my daughter the truth, she defaults to the position of the culture, and then she can't understand what the problem is. The same is true with policing. You can't understand the Black Lives Matter movement and the importance of it if you don't know the history and the relationship between law enforcement and black and brown peoples. If you understood that history, you wouldn't ask one question about why this movement is necessary and why it's righteous. If you knew that history, but you don't know it, and it's not your fault. You weren't supposed to know it, and nobody taught it to you, right? So you don't have to know that modern policing traces back to slave patrols. That black folks' first experience with law enforcement was having, you know who? Working class and poor white folks on horseback going around keeping black folks in line on behalf of the rich master that owned all the property. That sounds a lot like modern policing, because ain't no rich people policing, right? It's working class folks who are out there protecting the property of rich people against the depredations of poor people. That's what modern policing is, and it traces back. And we know that's what modern policing is, by the way, because we will lock you up for 10 years for $100 worth of food stamp fraud. But if you take $12.5 trillion on Wall Street, 20% of the net worth of this country, you will not do one day in jail. So we know that law enforcement has got nothing to do with enforcing the law. It's got nothing to do with good people and bad people, lawbreakers and the law abiding. It only has to do with controlling certain people. And black and brown folks know it was cops who were involved in race riots and racial terrorism against black communities for the first 50 years of the 20th century. You didn't learn about that in class either, and that's not your fault. It wasn't taught. But in fact, every single year, just about from 1900 all the way to the 1930s, 1940s at least, there were race riots where white folks would just go into black communities, burn them to the ground, bomb them from the air like in Tulsa, Oklahoma, rip people out of their homes, beat them in the street, and police sat by, watched it happen, and participated. That doesn't mean that every cop in the modern era is like that, but it means that black folks can be excused for being not so clear on the decency of police in their communities because there's a history there. It was police who dragged black folks and white allies off of those sit-in stools at lunch counters in the South to enforce segregation. See, when your job is to enforce the law, and for most of American history, the law was against you as a people, then enforcing the law means you are the first line of oppression. People of color know that history and need to be excused when they don't just get over it because that continues. How do we know it continues? Very easy. We know from the data on racial profiling that black folks are twice as likely as white folks to be stopped and searched for drugs, even though white folks are more likely to have drugs on us on the occasions that we're searched. White folks use drugs and sell drugs at the same or higher rate than black folks and Latinos, and yet it is black folks and Latinos who in any given year make up 85 to 90% of the people who get arrested and incarcerated for a drug offense. See, people of color know that. And if we don't understand when black folks rise up and say Black Lives Matter. Well, what do you mean? All lives matter. Yes, sweetheart, I know they do. Yes, they do. And that is a totally irrelevant and unnecessary point to make. You see, you don't have to say all lives matter. We take that for granted. What we've never accepted in this country is that black and brown life matter. You have to proclaim that which is ignored, you see. That's why we have Black History Month right now and not White History Month. We don't have to have the White History Month because we got May and June and July and August. And every other month where we learn about white folks, we don't have to call it that. See how slick that is? That's how white supremacy operates. You don't have to call it White History Month. You just call it history, and literature, and theater, and poetry, and art. You don't have to racialize where it came from, right? That's what Malefi Asante at Temple calls universalizing the particular, which is the hallmark of Eurocentric thought, right? Not everybody's experience is the same. And so when certain people have been left out of all, you have to call that out by name. Because see, we've always said all, then we didn't mean it. We said all men are created equal, and we didn't mean that shit, right? We didn't mean women, but we didn't even mean all men. We said all, and it was a lie when we said it. Right? And so in a sense, when you say Black Lives Matter, to respond with all lives matter would be like going in a time machine back to 1971. Y'all won't remember this. Those who were students, those who were older will. Around 1970, 71, 72, the big phrase was black is beautiful, right? There was this desire to take back the beauty narrative from a beauty industry, fashion industry, glamour industry that had hijacked it and denigrated black physicality and beauty, right? So folks were saying black is beautiful to reclaim a sense of beauty for themselves. It'd be like getting in a time machine, going back to 1971, hearing somebody say black is beautiful and tapping them on the shoulder and going, but we're all beautiful in our own way. Yes, shut up, we know. Not the point. It'd be like going back to the early 80s when the HIV/AIDS crisis started. And it took several years for the president of the United States to even utter the word. Ronald Reagan didn't want to even utter the word, let alone cut loose with funding to deal with the problem until his buddy Rock Hudson died of it. And then all of a sudden he was willing to talk about it a little bit, right? So for the first several years, what'd you have? You had activists out in the street. You had ACT UP, gay men's health crisis, out in the street demanding research and funding for HIV/AIDS, right? And what they were saying in effect was people with AIDS lives matter. That wasn't the actual phrase, and we didn't have hashtags, but that was essentially what they were saying, right? People with AIDS lives matter, and we need to pay attention because right now we're not paying attention to that. And we don't seem to believe it as a society, so we need to start believing it. It would be like getting in a time machine, going back to 1983, 82, in the middle of an ACT UP event or a gay men's health crisis event and shutting down the protest by saying, yeah, but what about pancreatic cancer? People die of all kinds of things, right? Sort of not the point. You have to proclaim that which is ignored. And if we know the history, we understand that, right? Because if we know the history, we know that it is indeed black life, and I would suggest brown life, life of color generally, indigenous life, that is usually denigrated, demeaned, ignored. On a sexual level, it's trans lives that are demeaned, ignored, right? It's women as women. So sometimes you got to proclaim that which is not in the obvious frame of reference. There's nothing pernicious about it. It's not about saying black lives are worth more than other lives. It's about, damn it, these lives actually do matter. And even though the history says they don't, we're here to tell you that they do. And there's nothing wrong about that at all. But if you don't know the history, it might seem untoward. And I get it. And again, it's not your fault that you don't know the history, but it is our responsibility to learn it and then apply it to what we see. Same is true with immigration. This immigration drama that we have right now is only possible because we don't understand our own history. As a country, and particularly those of us of European descent, we have lied to ourselves about how we got here and for what reason. See, black folks know why they're here. Native peoples know why they're here and how they got here. A lot of Asian folk know, particularly if they're Chinese American, they know they got here because their ancestors were brought over to work on the railroads by the railroad barons who didn't care if thousands of them died laying track 19, 20 hours a day. But for those of us who are from Europe, we have this fiction that we've told, and we believe it, even though there's no truth to it. You know what the fiction is? It's two parts. Number one, we say things like, with regard to Mexicans coming over the border, with regard to immigrants coming up, but only that border. That's the only one we care about, right? The southern border. I find that interesting. We're not flipping out about Canada, right? We don't have any of the Minutemen or the anti-immigrant groups sitting off the coast of Nova Scotia with a gun and a scope trying to like pick off the sneaky Canadians that are trying to sneak in here for our superior healthcare system, which after all would be a pretty stupid thing to do. But in any event, we only care about that one border, forgetting for a minute that that border was created at the end of a war that was started on false pretense by this country, after which we jacked half of their country. And you weren't taught that in school either, because our history books aren't interested in telling the truth. They tell this very patriotic history that has no relationship to the fact. So that border is artificial. Mexican folk who are coming here, documented or not, let's be clear, are coming home. Their families were here before our families were here in almost every instance. But we forget that, and then we say things like, well, I don't mind them coming. I just want them to come legally like my people did. The hell does that even mean? Come legally? There was no law to break when our people came. The fact that we didn't break a law that didn't even exist, you don't get cookies for that. You don't get like a pat on the back and a gold star because your great, great, great whatever was law abiding when there was no law that he could have violated, even if he wanted to. But we've told this lie that we came for these upstanding principles. So we'll say things like, well, you know, our people came for liberty and freedom, democracy. These people are just coming for stuff. They're just coming for jobs. They're just coming for health care. They're just coming for stuff. We came for high-minded principle, right? Because we believe that. What kind of third grade version of American history is that? Right? Like when Donald Trump says, well, Mexico's not sending their best. What the hell? You think Europe sent their best? Europe? No, our people were the losers of Europe. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just telling you the truth. Like, our people were the losers of Europe. The winners didn't get on the boat. You understand what I'm saying? The winners didn't leave. Why the hell would you leave if you were winning? Only the losers left because they had no choice. They were dying. They were starving. They couldn't support their families. A lot of them were convicts who were sold into indentured servitude to work for rich European people. They were barely above the level of a slave themselves. The idea that we had these we didn't believe in liberty and freedom. And we know that because once we got to the colonies, we set up the opposite of liberty and freedom. And I don't just mean that for like black folks and native folks. I mean, even for other white folks. Like, we spent most of the time in the early colonies trying to figure out who the witch was, right? It was like, well, you're not a Christian. Well, no, you're not a Christian. Well, no, you're not a Christian. I'm going to hang you from a tree. Really? Well, I'm going to drown you in the stream. Well, I'm going to set you on fire. Like, that wasn't liberty. The colonies were some of the least free places in the history of the cosmos. But we act like we came for liberty, and they're just here to take advantage. Let's be clear. Our people didn't come for liberty. They came for...
Many American children to know these stories, to know these truths. They don't want them to know. Tuskegee syphilis, that's as far as we go.
Yeah.
And that was child's play compared to what was done. J. Marion Sims, the same man who experimented on all of these women, also accused enslaved Africans, accused them for the fact that the children have what we now know as neonatal tetanus. He called it Trismus nascentium, just made up something, but it's neonatal tetanus. Tetanus derives from manure. The likely cause of it because of the proximity enslaved Africans were to animal stables. But people like him caused because of where they had to sleep. But he said it was because of their indecency of their parents. So he decided he was going to try to correct it with a shoemaker's awl. And it is a pointed object that they poke holes in leather with. Every child that was born attempted to reshape their heads and had a 100% fatality rate, killed every single child. Imagine what it must have been like. And they had a statue of him until 2018 when Harriet Washington, myself, and others said, you're going to move that from Central Park.
Central Park
had J. Marion Sims. It's now at his grave. But it stood there until 2018. He was a monster.
2 years after the Little Rock 9 integrated Southern high schools, another prominent event happened in Arkansas, a massacre that many people don't even know about. 69 boys who attended a dormitory school in Wrightsville, Arkansas, who all lived and resided in this one room that you see in this picture, were burned. While living there, they had to wash up with a bucket. They all shared the same bucket of water. They all lived in the same hall. And on this night, the door was padlocked and it was set on fire. 21 died, 48 survived. No one was ever held accountable. The families received, in some cases, a couple hundred, in another case, 1,400, nothing more than 2,500. And this incident did not receive a historical marker until 2018. Frank Lawrence, whose brother was there that night, and Griffin Stockley are fighting to keep this story alive. But let me know, did you know about this?
That's all I got for this video, and let's start from the second clip to analyze it, where this white man literally said that why are white people getting all of this? For those of you that will not remember the clip, this is the clip I'm talking about. Hey, can you go back please? So this is the clip I'm talking about.
I just want white people to have a place to live. Like, there's no, the country's going to be minority white. And then a lot of people hate white people. Like
a lot of people hate white people. Do I just hear someone's son said a lot of people hate white people? Do I just hear the person that is supposed to have privilege more than me that is sitting here say a lot of people hate white people? Now let's break it in a real context. When people keep saying, oh, this person hates me, this particular person hates me, A hates me, B hates me, C hates me, D hates me, E hates me, and even F hates me. Is that not a time for that person to sit down, reflect on what he or she is doing, and why is there a particular hatred channeled to a particular set of people? What I should be expecting an adult like this to be doing as a white man is to be checking what have we really done that is making a lot of group that he assumed that people hate white people. Because the last time I checked, if there is anybody asking, why are you here? You're not supposed to be in this environment. You're supposed to be there. You're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to do that. It is definitely coming from white folks. You can hardly see a black person asking a white person, why are you in this environment? So who is hating who, and who is channeling hate to who? Is it that when people say some certain part of it, I'm not very, very good, fluent at my English speaking level. I know, and I'm sorry for that, right? But is it that some people's brain do not process what they say before saying it out of their mouths?
Aren't like violent to that degree.
Yeah, I'm in my phone. Have you ever heard of postcard lynchings?
What?
And one thing I love is when I see their fellow white person actually educating them. See, I just feel like as at this point, they have seen that every single thing they have planned, every single hole they have dug, every single thing that is supposed to be hitting white people, black people, is hitting on them. So they are coming to that realization, knowing fully well that at the end of the day, there is nothing we can literally do about this. These people are already above us. So they'll be free to say whatsoever they want to say. Look at this particular one as well.
Black people are way more racist towards white people in this country than the other way around.
Now they are. Today, because when...
And in America, by the way.
Oh, yes, I'm saying, because if you're talking about now, today, in terms of like what I've seen on the internet and what I've seen with these DEI roles in industries and businesses, all of a sudden, when white people are going, and I kind of like...
How are...
Black people are
people?
Black people are way more racist towards black people, towards white people. Can black people be racist? Can black people be racist? I just want to know. Can black people be racist? The last time I checked, sir, black people can never be racist. The only person that can be racist is white people. What do black people have for them to be racist towards you? You people have every single thing, but the moment black people have one thing, it becomes a thing of competition. It becomes a thing of racism. Can black people be racist? For years, for centuries, black people have suffered segregation. They have suffered a lot of things that they are supposed to even give up. In fact, a lot of them are not even supposed to be existing again. But because of the grace of God over their life and knowing fully well that they are the chosen one, they keep still striving. They keep still making ways. They keep still enduring, and they are winning. And we have a lot of you people. Anyways, I don't blame you people. You people are actually coming to that direction that every single thing that was told to you guys were lies. You know, you guys were told that black people are supposed to come out from nothing. They are supposed to keep serving you guys for life. That is why a lot of you can go to black people comment section. Someone even dropped that in my Snapchat comments. He said, you keep bragging about black Americans. I can't wait for you people to go back to slavery. And he promised me that me specifically, I'm going to pick cottons in his farm. Oh God. On my Snapchat, the person has literally been following me on YouTube. The person is so angered. That white guy is so angered. He's so angry that he have to come to my Snapchat comment section to come and drop that. And when I saw this, I laughed. And I told him, until then, I have no words for you. Until then. Because a lot of these people are thinking that it will still get to a point where slavery will still come. I bet them let that day come. Honestly. Let that particular day of slavery come. Let's see who is going to serve one another. Because this is not a time of forgiveness. This is not the time of, we are going to dig it with each other. It's as simple as ABCD. But I'm happy that their comments that like, they are getting that fulfillment, they're getting that karma moment, and they're seeing that every single thing that they've known for years, for decades, they are no longer the same. So that is a very high wake-up call for them. And I can't wait for them to be getting more wake-up calls like this. But let me know what you think in the comment section anyways. Credits belong to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in today's episode. And I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you. Liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, and also joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. Thank you so much for staying stick and hook with me to the end of this video. And yes, guys, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.